my channel. This is gonna be a mid-year freakout tag for this video, and so I'm doing this kind of at the tail end of when people post them. I think so. But like today is July 5th. I've been walking. It's so funny. I went to the farm. I go to the farm every other week to grab some milk, like the kid milk. And I went to the farm and I have had my thing tucked into my sweater this entire time, which is great. Anyway, I'm doing this kind of late because I wasn't entirely sure I wanted to participate in this. I felt like a little bit too new to participate in this particular book tag. And I also don't feel like I've done a ton of reading this year. And so it was kind of like, I don't know. But I have been watching some other people's videos, as I do, because I love Booktube. And I don't know, as I was watching them, I kind of got excited about doing it anyway, because everybody's reading, you know, time, journey, etc. is their own. And so everybody's going to be doing something a little bit differently. Everybody's going to be doing things on different scales. So I think I'm going to be okay. I am going to start by talking about, well, okay. I got my list of questions from, I think I had started with Freakout Did I Read First? Deja's Book World I went to. I saw Mel Reed's do hers. And then I saw Carrie Can Read. Those are the ones I've seen so far. So I've just kind of taken questions as I've heard them. And hopefully I have all of them and I answer all of them. But okay, so the first, let me get the books because it would make more sense to talk about them. If I don't have to go and pick them up, like that would be great for me. This one. I think I have everything I'm planning on talking about. Okay, so first question is best book of the year so far. And for me, that's hands down gonna be The Emperor of Gladness. This book it came out in June, and in June, right? It came out in June or in May? Let's see. Okay, The Emperor of Gladness came out in May. So the dates that I logged in Goodreads are skewed. But honestly, I'm not very good at keeping track of my book reading efforts and my habits. Like, I'm not very good at keeping track of them in Goodreads. I'm 99% sure that I've read more books than I've said I've read, and that happens all the time as well, just because I'm not as just detailed about that particular thing. I think I used to be more in that way, but I'm not somebody who is trying to read a ton of books. I'm more trying to make sure I'm choosing good books. And so anyway, so I naturally don't track quite as much. I'm more so keeping track of the books that were memorable to me and things like that. But I'm working on that because this space, I think, necessitates a bit more detail-oriented behaviors and all that good stuff. But anyway, so hands down, this was that's my sister. I will call her right back. This was my best book of the year so far. Best sequel was, shoot, that's the one I didn't put up. Okay. Best sequel, The Clash of Kings. I'm gonna get it together, y'all. A Clash of Kings. I really like A Game of Thrones. I think I've mentioned this before. I'm not entirely sure I'll be able to read it. I have a hard time, watch it. I have a hard time with gore, but for some reason reading it isn't quite as bad for me. Maybe it's because I'm not as imaginative of those things that I don't want to picture, whatever. But that's my best sequel. A new release you haven't read but want to, With a Vengeance by Riley Sager. Hopefully I put it up there. I really want to do this one because I haven't gotten into Riley Sager yet. Like, I'm not a Riley Sager person because I know nothing about them, but I do really like suspense thriller novels, and I've not read as many. Have I read any this year? I may not have read any yet this year, but like last year before, I read like tons of thriller, and I feel like that's most of what I read actually. And so I'd like to get back into, yeah, I have no thriller on here. That's so interesting. Anyway, so Riley Sager, With a Vengeance, that's one I really want to read. I actually got from the library, because it was there, actually, I'll show you my little like baby TBR. I know I put out like a TBR, I believe, in my last video, but it's changed. So I'll show you in a bit. But I will say that I got a Riley Sager from the library because I wanted to try them out before I started reading, before I bought the new release. Just make sure I like them. Most anticipated release the second half of the year. I did not answer this question because I'm honestly having a hard time answering that question. I think I just want to, I don't know that I have an answer. I think what I want to do is see what other people are reading and kind of go from there, because I like to get my recommendations from people who have similar tastes to me, as opposed to, I guess, I don't know, when I was a kid I would go to the library and I would like pick up a book because it was pretty and that was nice. But I think that as I've gotten older, because I want to make sure that I'm not wasting my time, not that reading is a waste of time, but I want to make sure that I'm spending my time on things that I will most likely like. And so while I read a little bit of everything, the reason that my reads are typically successful is because I'm reading books that people who read like me tend to enjoy. And so, I mean, and this isn't to say I don't ever venture off. I do. I'm just saying that typically that's my reading habit. And so I don't really know what I want to read yet. Mostly I get my recommendations from blogs or vlogs and things like that. And so I genuinely have no idea what's coming out this year. The only one I can think of that I might be interested in is Dead and Alive by Zadie Smith, just because it sounded like an interesting collection of essays. And I like reading about, I like reading essays. Like I like Joan Didion and James Baldwin and Toni Morrison, and I don't know, I just like essays and listening to or trying to understand people's thought processes and frame for how they view the world. And so I think this could be good. It comes out October 28th. I think there was one more that I thought might be interesting. Yeah, and this one comes out sooner. This is Catabasis or Catabasis. I'm not entirely sure how to pronounce it, but I think I will read this one. R.F. Kuang is coming to an event. I want to say it's in Austin, which isn't super far from me. And so I was considering getting the book and, you know, going to the event and making a little reading moment out of it. I think it'd be fun. I've not read any R.F. Kuang. I own Yellowface, which I thought had a cool premise, and I read a couple pages and I actually liked it. I didn't DNF it or anything. I just didn't finish it because I was distracted by other literature, and that was also during the time where I was still kind of in between homes, waiting to come back to my house, that whole thing. If you haven't seen a video of mine, you haven't heard the story, but a long story short, Hurricane Beryl really, you know, did a number on Houston this time last year, July. I think it was like the 14th. And a tree fell into my house. It was a whole thing. There were things, the fence, the tree left a giant hole in my yard. I did not know that when a tree falls, there's a hole. It makes sense that there's a hole left behind when a tree falls, but I did not know how to, that's not something that I would have thought about. And so all of the things that went into fixing it, we were out of the home for we just got back 2 months ago. And yeah. It's been a journey. All this is to say, I didn't read Yellowface. I put it down because there were other things going on, but I put a lot of books down last year and I really want to get back into them. I have a bunch just ready for me waiting. One of those is, this doesn't matter. This is completely unrelated to the line of questioning that I'm supposed to be on, but The Fury by Alex McCades, I believe is how you pronounce the last name. I read The Silent Patient and The Maidens. I thought they were both good. I read The Maidens first, which I think is a really good idea, and then I read The Silent Patient after, which was great because The Silent Patient I think was a better, a more well-written book. And so then The Fury came out, I think last year, and I really wanted to read it, and so I picked up a copy from Half Price Books, started reading it, put it down. But Alex McCades is one of my favorite kind of thriller novelist because there's like a Greek mythological element that kind of is woven into all of the books that I've read so far, and I just really like that. I think it's fun. I think it's a good time. Anywho, back to what we were doing. I don't know. I don't have any fantasy, anything I want to read this year. Like, I want to read a bunch more fantasy because fantasy is, I feel like fantasy and literary fiction are my favorite genres to read. Like, you know, yeah, like in a novel. Obviously I like other things like poetry, and I like memoir and all that good stuff, but I really love romance and literary fiction. I don't necessarily know what I want to read this year. I kind of just want to continue checking out blogs and reading vlogs and regular vlogs, and waiting for other people to kind of, share, because really established bloggers will get advanced reader copies of all the books that are coming out, and then if they read them and they have an idea of how they feel about them, well, this is the point of them getting arcs, to tell people to review the books, and then I get to be on the receiving end of that and be like, yes, that's the one, or no, that's not for me. I feel like I do that a lot with like weird girl fiction, or what I would consider weird girl fiction, because there's like a fine line between literary fiction and then like this, and women's fiction and like weird girl fiction. I feel like there's overlap, but there's a fine line, and I like weird to this point, and then I'm like, but I read this book because of the realism, and I'm trying to understand what the heck is happening now. Because like for me, like there are certain things I just go to fantasy for, but, and not to yuck somebody's yum, I just like, that's just me. So I want to see, before I go picking up a bunch of literary fiction, what people are saying about it. Because, for example, there was a book I read this year called, where is it? I gave it to my sister, but there was a book that was Convenience Store Woman. I'm gonna get into this. I think I have it listed on here. Do I have it listed on here? Oh, I don't, so that's perfect. Convenience Store Woman was a book I just didn't like. It was short. I feel like very short lit fics tend to have that like weird element to them. It was short and sweet, but it wasn't sweet. It was short. But there were just so many things where I was like, what's going on here? Like, what the literal hell is going on here? And I sometimes find certain literary fiction a bit too experimental. I really like there's something I'm looking for. I don't necessarily know what to call it, but I know it when I read it. And there's an element I'm looking for in literary fiction. There's a realism I'm looking for in literary fiction that I feel like gets like tapped out, or gets, kind of cast aside when those more, what I would probably call like magical realism moments show up. And I don't know. And I don't mind magical, it's just, okay, tangent over. So, biggest disappointment, The Love Haters. So I'm reading right now, and I have the cover because the book's upstairs. Barry hasn't tried. Barry, please help your brother. Thank you. The Love Haters. Okay. I'm reading, just for a bit of context, I am reading some books for a little romance reading novel that I'm trying to do. It was supposed to be new releases, but it might end up not just being. So it's these guys, newish releases, new adjacent. These guys, the Catherine Center book, considering tossing this in there just for fun, but maybe I could just do a regular reading vlog where I just read what I want, and this is part of it. But anyways, so I'm reading this along with Emily Henry's Great BBL and Abby Jimenez, Sail Remember Me. And the thing about The Love Haters is, okay, first I want to just say Catherine Center is probably one of the funniest writers I've ever heard speak. Like, straight comedian. So funny, hilarious. I think I mentioned this before. I sometimes have a hard time with contemporary romance. I feel like I'm saying I have a hard time with a lot of things, but I'm just like a little bit picky, or maybe I just know what I like. And there's something about this book that is extremely hard to break into for me. And there's something that's like weirdly like surface level to me. And I just want to, maybe, you know what I want? There's nothing wrong with this book. I think I just want my feelings to be hurt a little bit more. And this is kind of just like, it's like really just hanging out up here. And I want a bit more depth. That's what I crave when I'm reading all of the books I read. I want to be a little sad. I want to be a little, I want to like, you know, get to know somebody really, really well. Like, I feel like I don't know them very well. I feel like gosh, what's her name? Katie. I don't even remember the name of the protagonist. Like, what the heck? But I don't know, what can I say? Katie is, maybe she feels a bit more of a flat character to me specifically. That's just me. I'm not entirely finished with it, and so I'm not going to like sit here and completely review it because I feel like that would be not nice or helpful. But I will say that I was really looking forward to breaking into Catherine Center because she is an author who's local to Houston, and I know that there are other people on the interwebs who really, really enjoy her style of writing, especially people who don't like, who prefer closed door romances. Me, I'm good with spice. I actually feel like spice and all that kind of stuff makes, like, I feel like it's interesting to me. If it's done not like chaotically, I feel like it can, you know, give you a deeper level of connection with the relationship of the two characters. Like, you can understand them and their dynamic better if it's not done in a weird, cringy, chaotic way. So I understand why some people don't like an open door romance. So anyway, I wanted to try this just to see what people thought, or to see what I thought about other people's, you know, feelings about Catherine Center as a writer. And honestly, I'm just a little bit underwhelmed. And yeah, I'm annoyed by it because I was gonna go and read her whole back catalog because she's got quite a few. Although before she wrote romance, like, and this is rom-com, and so I also have to remind myself this is rom-com. Before she wrote these style of books, she was writing women's fiction, and so maybe there's a chance I would like some of her other stuff a little bit more, but that is neither here nor there. Okay, biggest surprise. My biggest surprise was A Court of Mist and Fury, and I think it's because while I really liked A Court of Thorns and Roses, I didn't love it, and like I loved it, I feel like the second time I read it, because I had some people I was looking forward to interacting with, but the first time I read it, I was like, eh. And A Court of Mist and Fury is so much better than A Court of Thorns and Roses, in my opinion, and you get to experience the characters in deeper ways. You get to understand everybody's, you know, you get to understand what are all their motives, why are they doing what they're doing, that kind of stuff. And so I really enjoyed A Court of Mist and Fury. Favorite new author? Definitely my favorite new author, new to me. Known of them for a while, known of her for a while, but never tried. Favorite is V. Schwab. I'm reading Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil right now. I'm not super duper far in. I think I'm only like, I'm 97 pages in, but and there's like over 500 pages in this book, so I've got quite a ways to go. But the thing about this particular book is it's just so rich already. I feel like I have favorite perspectives and favorite like thought processes, but I also feel like I'm just dealing with a really rich world so far. And so I'm excited to go in and read V. Schwab's back catalog, which I've been looking at for years now, but just haven't, I don't know, for some reason just haven't gone for him. But yeah, favorite new author, V. Schwab for sure. Newest fictional crush. I would say I am torn because I like a couple of people, but Rhysand from, you know, ACOTAR, the ACOTAR universe, I really like him because he is, I don't know, he seems like he'd be cute. Like, he seems cute, but also he is really into letting Farah have her autonomy, and I feel like that's a green flag. Autonomy and independence, but still concern and care for all of the things. I feel like that's a green flag. And I think that good for me for liking a green flag. I don't know that I've been reading books where the characters have been like, I don't know, I think I'm more interested in what they're doing than interested in them, outside of Reese. Reese can have me. Okay, newest favorite character. My newest favorite character is definitely Maria, again, from Bury Our Bones. Maria is my favorite perspective to read in this book. She is so just vivacious and cool, and she has just this literal fire. I think it's like, I'm pretty sure, I don't know if it's literal yet, but I think it could be a literal fire inside of her. She is just tenacious, and she is cute, and she knows she's cute, and is excitable, and she's not willing to take anybody's anything. And I just think that that's really cool. And so she's my favorite. When I read the other perspectives, I'm just like, Maria, where you at? Anyways, a book that made you cry. I had multiple books that made me cry. So I'm just going to say, I'm going to keep mentioning the same books basically because I have a few favorites. But I'm going to say The Emperor of Gladness was the first one. Then A Court of Mist and Fury and A Court of Wings and Ruin, because it just felt really bad for everybody. Really sad for what was going on. And yeah. Book that made you happy. Me realizing I didn't answer all of these questions before I started recording this video is crazy. Let me go and look at Goodreads. Goodreads, what did I read this year? It's crazy that I don't remember what I read. Ooh, I really enjoyed Red at the Bone by Jacqueline Woodson. This book, I read it like I think in January or something, but this book was so interesting to read. I don't know where I'd heard of it from, or maybe I was just at the library. Yes, I was at the library, and the guy at the counter, the librarian, the clerk, was like, I did to him what I do when I go into bookstores and I'm trying to figure out what I want to read, and I said, you know, hey, that sounded creepy. I didn't say it like that. I said, hey, I really need a book recommendation. And he was like, what do you normally read? And at the time, my answer was almost completely literary fiction, because that's what I would say that's what I typically read more of. I've been in a fantasy mood lately because my life has just been a little chaotic, and I needed not just like gentle escape, I needed full world escapism. And so, you know, fantasy has been where it's at. Fantasy and sci-fi and all of those things. I told him lit fic, and he was like, okay, do you want to be sad? And I was like, it's like, you know me. And yes I do. And he said, okay, here is this book. And let me tell you, this book was so good. This book was so good. I gave it a 5-star. I'm not like a great reviewer, in that for me, a 5-star is, did I like it? Like, how did I feel? This is all about me. Like, is it giving Kayla's happy? Okay, 5-star. That's how I rate books. And I would say, like, my only real criticism comes from, like, is it well written? Because if it's not well written, like, it's kind of hard to read, and you have to listen to it via audio. And if you can get through it, it's, you know, like, for the story, I don't know. For me, it's got to be like decently well written, and it's got to have a good plot, you know, and the characters need to be believable. I want to believe in what they're doing, which I think is why I end up reading so much lit fic. But anywho, basically there is this woman. It's like a story of multiple generations, I guess. And so this woman, or this girl, I guess, Melody, she's about to do her coming of age ceremony. And like, I don't know if it's cotillion, I can't remember, but she's about to do her coming of age ceremony, and she's at her grandparents' house, and she's in Brooklyn, and it's great. She's been raised in her grandparents' house, and her dad has been living there. I believe it's her maternal grandparents, and yeah, and her dad has been living there with her whole life, and they've been, you know, that they've been doing the thing. Previously, her mother isn't really in her life, and it's because she is kind of doing her own thing and not necessarily living for motherhood. She is, you know, she has this idea, like we learn later, she has this idea that, I don't know how to explain it, but she has this idea that her daughter is kind of like better off without her, and that her daughter's father is better off without her as well. He's still in love with the mother. The mother is got her head elsewhere. And anyway, there's a lot of like family dynamics explored. It's like definitely coming of age for Melody, the daughter, as she figures things out with her partner, and he's got some things going on as well. And so it's just kind of what happens in a family dynamic when, you know, you start to grow up and you start to realize that your parents are people and not just these floating things that like feed you and house you, and you know, they become less like figureheads and more people. They become like, they're not just an outline of a person anymore. Like they're not just the outline of mom, dad, whatever. They're now filled in, and they've got the things that make them happy and the things that make them sad and the things that make them feel fulfilled, and how hard it is to do things that don't make you feel fulfilled, and how some people can't do things that don't make them feel fulfilled, and they just kind of like leave. And it's really, really a special novel, and it's probably like my second favorite from this year. It was just, I feel like I need to read more Jacqueline Woodson. Oh look, and I'm on Goodreads, and like, look at all these. Another Brooklyn, Before the Ever After. Oh my gosh. Want to read? When did you come out? Let's see. When did the one I read come out? Ah, interesting. Okay. Rabbit trail aside. Okay. Why did it make me happy? It made me happy because I like complexity, and it talked a lot about complexity, and I was just here for it. Okay. Alrighty, now, the most beautiful book that I've received or bought this year. I think this one's really pretty. So, okay, let's start with this one. I don't necessarily have feelings about sprayed edges. I think that they're cute, and I think that they are, sorry, seeing what's going on outside my window. I think that they're cute if they're done well. But this book, Gate to Kagoshima by Poppy Kuroki. This is going to be the one that I describe as my favorite looking book. I just think it's pretty. Also, my son, who was 5 at the time, picked this out for me, and he was like, you should read this, Mommy, because it has pink on it. And I don't know where he has this narrative that I am so in love with pink. My favorite color is blue, but I think he's just at the age where kids have this like idea of like what colors are supposedly, you know, mommy likes, and what colors supposedly like I'm supposed to like. I'm like, actually blue's my favorite color. But this was really, really cute. He picked it out for me. He thought I would like it, and I am excited to read it. It did look good. It's about this girl, and she's trying to figure out her family's history, and she is, I think the protagonist is like part Japanese and wants to go and kind of connect to her culture because she's raised in a more Western society. And that's all I can really remember from when I had started reading it. But I'm going to show you an updated TBR, and this is included. So, okay. The other one that I picked for myself is A Study in Drowning by Ava Reed. This was, you know how Barnes & Noble, when you're walking out, they're like, hey, take one of these. And they don't say it like that, but you know, like they give you a little discount if you choose one of their, like they discount the books you bought if you choose one of their monthly picks kind of thing. And the kid one that was there, because I was with my kids at the time, the kid one that was there looked a little bit too, like it looked like it would be a bit too tough of a read for my nearly 8-year-old. Like, and I didn't want it to be a deterrent. And so I got this for me instead, because he said, well, I haven't even finished the book I'm working on right now. And I was like, that's true, you haven't. And I love that for you. And then I added an extra book to my pile of unfinished books. And we're not going to talk about it. We're not going to talk about it. At least one of us is responsible. Okay. What do you need to read by the end of the year? Do I have any of these books near me? I swear, like, I am a chaotic human sometimes. Okay, I'm gonna just have to like pop these ones up because I don't feel like getting up again. But the first one is the Legendborn trilogy. I want to read all of them this year. I want to read Intermezzo. I think it came out at the beginning of the year. It's the only Sally Rooney I haven't read. Love Sally Rooney, Live and Die by that woman. She's great. The other one I want to read is, I gotta search the last name because I don't know the last name. Martyr by Kava Akbar. I have it and I've been wanting to read it for a really long time. Kala by Colin Walsh. This is a like thriller vibe, and I'm really interested in it because people say that it's kind of Sally Rooney-esque in the fact that, because it's just very well written. Like the prose is very well written, and a lot of the Irish authors who I've read have a similar narrative creation strategy, or like a similar narrative flow, and it's always just really beautiful. And I wonder if it's I wonder where the similarity, I guess, comes from. The last thing I really want to read before the end of the year is Fourth Wing trilogy. I don't know, I just want to read them. I want to hear people talking about it. I want to understand why people are so obsessed, or why people hate it so much. Why is this so polarizing? Yeah, I just want to know. And now to completely pivot and talk to you about books that I have not mentioned wanting to read before the end of the year, but are currently on my TBR, which is crazy. So, and these are just a couple of editions because I went to the library. So things I kind of want to read in the immediate future? Pretty soon. Obviously, I just mentioned that I'm reading these guys because I'm doing a little romance novel reading vlog situation. So Great Big BBL, Sail Remember Me, definitely want to read these soon. Probably have to read these, or would like to read these in the next 2 weeks. I'm almost finished with The Love Haters. I refuse to DNF it because I just Catherine Tenner was just so funny. Like, I know that there's got to be more for me in there. There's more for me to experience in there. Gate to Kagoshima and A Study in Drowning. These are books I want to read in the next couple of weeks, months. Before I let go, now, I wasn't going to read any more Kennedy Ryan because there was one book that I read by her, and if I remember, I'll put it in here, but I didn't love it. But everyone's talking about this specific trilogy, and I want to be a part of that. So there's that one. This is so funny. We'll leave that section alone for now. Well, I'll just pick up. Oh, Spy Family. I just want to finish this. I really like Spy Family. Unfortunately, the TV show just randomly ended, and so now I have to do what I can to like fill that need. This is a reread. I'm reading this right now, actually. And then I think that's it. And obviously, I'm already reading Bury Our Bones. So this is my little, oh wait, 2 more, and they were literally in my lap. So this is the Riley Sager book, Middle of the Night, and then All the Light We Cannot See. I had this checked out for like a month previously, and they were like, it must have been longer than a month, because they were like, bring it back, please bring the book back. And I was like, okay. And so I brought it back, but then I saw it and I was like, you know what? Now is the time. Because I'm in the mood for historical fiction right now. I really am. And so, anyway, okay, so how do I do this? I'm gonna attempt to hold all of these. Okay. I'm trying to hold the books up. It's fine. they were slipping. So we had a little moment. We read some books. These are not the ones we've read. We're just talking about these because these are hypothetical reads, but they're on the way. Actually, I started this one. So yeah. Yeah, that is my mid-year freak out book tag situation. I hope you had a good time. Thanks for hanging out with me until the end. And if any of these are on your list, let me know. Let me know what you've read. Tell me that they're good, please. Because I really do want to read all of these. And I will see you in the next one. By the way, I promise you I'm a grown-up. Lord. And I feel like I should include